I love to create, whether it's photography, video, writing, or commentary. I enjoy sharing a story, an idea, or something that I think is beautiful. I also love learning. I read a lot and listen to a ton of thoughtful commentary on the topics of culture, politics, sports, science, economics, etc. There are really no bounds to my interests. I have a lot that I want to do in my life. I want to create photo work. I want to write movie scripts. I want to provide insight and commentary on topics I'm interested in. I want to be involved in more advocacy work. However, projects spend more time in my head than being realized in the world. I get so caught up in the day-to-day of work, graduate school, and the escapism in between that I hardly have enough energy to devote to my intentions. I feel like I've slipped into a stream of passive living where I'm just failing to actualize in a meaningful and intentional way. I want to excel in all my interests. I want to progress in my career, complete creative projects, engage more in culture and community, and be an active and engaged friend, sibling, son, and uncle. But it feels like there's always something stopping me from fully committing or achieving it all. I recognize that I am a chronic procrastinator. I'm disorganized, and I probably have ADHD. I feel like I never have enough energy, time, motivation, or information to do all the things that are important to me. I often feel overwhelmed and end up just doing none of it. I need to figure out a way to organize and focus so that I can put in consistent effort. I've read self-help books, watched YouTube videos on productivity and self-improvement, watched documentaries of aspirational figures. I've tried calendar blocking. I got a planner and used a whiteboard, but nothing seemed to create sustained change in my life. I still felt stuck for some reason. Was I broken, or was I looking at it all wrong? How do you know when your life has changed? How do you even measure a changed life? I assume most people's immediate takeaway is that they'll get their shit together. And what does that look like? Is it waking up at a certain time every day? Is it hitting the gym? Is it passing all of your classes or getting a promotion at work? How do you know the moment your life has changed? Does it take a year, 6 months, 30 days, or a single profound moment? Is there a threshold you cross that is evidence that your life has changed? Is it something that you declare or that people declare to you? Is it once you've reached a goal or 2 or 3? Life happens organically, so what if my goals or priorities have to shift in the middle of the whole thing? Does it start all over? Is changing your life about what you accomplish or who you become? And how long should that take? The productivity hacks weren't all bad. They worked to a degree, but they only hit the symptoms, not the source. That's why it wasn't sustainable. My shortcomings were largely the result of me experiencing shame, guilt, and insecurity. Due to a lifetime of Western conditioning and experiences, I had an individualist perspective and an unhealthy attachment to outcomes. It's not fun to constantly compare yourself to your peers and feel behind somehow. It's not fun to constantly go back on your word or to try and fail and be judged for it or aim for perfection only to miss the mark. It's not fun feeling like you've been rejected. It's easier to avoid those nasty feelings by disassociating, putting things off until the last minute, or avoiding certain situations altogether. It became clear that learning how to organize and manage time was not the source of my problem. No vision board, calendar block, or 5 a.m. millionaire CEO routine could fix toxic shame. In fact, they probably just made things worse as reminders of what I was failing to perform. However, I eventually learned that my failure was not the result of attempting something and falling short, but rather of gambling my entire self-worth on the given outcome. Who wants to start a task with that much on the line? If I was going to get my life together, I would need to learn to love and accept myself, to free myself of fear and judgment. Embrace where I am in life, my unique circumstances, perspective, interests, and community. I had to learn that my value and worth are intrinsic. They're not earned or lost, nor are they relative to others around me. I am always worthy and deserving of my love and approval. This empathy I'd hold for myself should also be generously extended to others. Given a specific set of circumstances, we could easily be the next person that we're quick to judge. I choose to see myself in others and wonder what I would need if I were in their shoes, instead of gloating for how much better off I may be than they are for having better options or different circumstances. I consumed a ton of self-improvement content, and a counterintuitive pain point is the hyper-focus on the self as if we live in a vacuum. The Western capitalist individualist attitude makes it seem like you must do life alone. You must sacrifice almost all your time with family, friends, and loved ones to make your dreams come true. This is a single passenger journey that no one can finish with you, and no one cares enough to ensure that you do. That if you are not winning, you're to blame, and you should judge others the same way. Some people will even advise you to tell no one about your dreams and plans because they wouldn't understand and may try to talk you out of it or give you bad advice, which is a possibility, but I'm not bound by their opinions. I have autonomy in what I decide to do with their input. If I feel so moved to share my plans and dreams with those close to me, then I would share it. I won't deny myself that moment of connection due to the fear of how they may perceive me. It's okay to be perceived. They're entitled to their own perceptions, but my vision is mine and no one else's. Listen, we do nothing alone. From the day we're born, we rely on others for our survival. This role is often initially fulfilled by family, but it doesn't end there. There's so much labor, paid and volunteered, from familiars and strangers, both known and behind the scenes, that sustains our lives and communities. The pandemic is a case study on how isolation harms us and how mutual aid saves us. We're social beings who built civilizations and communities to ensure our survival. The greater your intentions are in life, the more support you're going to need from others. I need my family, professors, and the minimum wage cooks at restaurants who provide me with a meal when I'm out of class late in the evening. I need the nameless, faceless people who ensure I have goods to purchase at the grocery store. I need the actors and production crews who work tirelessly to make sure I have a comforting show or movie to watch as I doze off or escape from a busy day. If I'm only concerned with how I can get mine, then I do a disservice to those who help make my survival possible and comfortable. When these people are hurting, it should matter to us. We should care when they strike, build labor unions, and advocate for human rights laws. That shit impacts our society and our culture, and eventually us in some way. We don't live in a bubble, although some people try really hard to insulate themselves from others. The promise of self-improvement typically seems to hinge on finally being able to acquire material things, to be admired by others, or worse, to be better or ahead of others. Western ideology is so fixated on competition and individualism, which is the source of why we have fractured communities foddered with indifference and selfishness. The goal of that sort of self-improvement is self-serving vanity, and there is no honor or meaning in that. It's a form of insecurity that will never fill its empty void, and is not worth sacrificing our bodies and sanity over. I realized that I didn't want that. I'm not motivated by that, and I'd argue that most people are not. I believe that most people will be content with meeting their needs and being able to actualize according to their self-determination, and we can achieve that collaboratively. Another crucial mindset on a more personal level was detaching from outcomes and embracing my journey. Results-driven esteem is not dependable, sustainable, or healthy. It will constantly teeter dependent on the outcome. I have little to no control over the outcome of any effort. I can really only control whether I show up for myself. Removing the need to have it all figured out or being perfect or knowing that I will succeed frees me up to just do it. I found that I'm often proud of myself for simply trying. When I release my desire to predict or control the outcome and place more value on the effort and the process instead, the potential judgmental gaze of others or myself becomes so much less concerning to me. I don't need anyone else to validate me because I provide validation to myself. I fulfill that need internally, so I don't have to look for it in others. And given the subjective perspectives of others, imagine how often I'd have to bend towards people's varying opinions to appease them, constantly shifting the standard from person to person and never having a universal one. I'd rather trust myself and follow my intuition. Plus, other people are working out their own journeys anyway. So what does detaching from outcomes look like for me personally? One example was my photography. I love taking pictures and sharing my work, but I'm no longer fixated on how many likes my photos get online. I simply want to share what I subjectively think is beautiful or interesting. I enjoy looking at beautiful things, and photography allows me to capture and preserve that beauty and to document my life. But taking a photo is also such a tiny fraction of the process. I've put hundreds of hours into learning how to use a camera, into learning lighting and composition techniques, walking around and learning to evaluate scenes. Then there's editing. And I failed at all those things all the time, but I was still learning. All of that was an absolute blast to do. I lost track of time. I was enjoying it so much. If I were only concerned with how to make money from it or how to be praised for it, I wouldn't have been able to sustain all the time and effort needed to get where I am today in my craft. I love it for the sake of doing it. I am content with the practice of it alone. I am not hinging its usefulness or my value as a photographer on my ability to profit from it. It is a means to its own end. And that's how I want to look at all my other aspirations in life. I have a goal to be healthy, so I have to adopt a healthier lifestyle. I must learn to appreciate exercising, cooking, and eating healthier foods, and committing to healthier sleeping routines. Some results will come immediately and others eventually, and on their own time. My job is to become infatuated with my journey, not the outcome. I need to embrace small, incremental changes over extended periods of time because I have to do these things for the rest of my life, presumably. Not for 30 days or 6 months or a year. I have not been perfect thus far, but that is the beauty of the journey. Progression, not perfection. My unique path will be my testimony. A brilliant quote I memorized is, "The best time to plant a strong and thriving tree was 20 years ago, but the second best time is right now." Another change I'm working on is bringing more balance into my life. There's a relationship between labor and rest. Any overindulgence on either side is not healthy. Labor can encompass so many things. I consider my fun photography work labor, though it is a labor of love and meaning for me. Not all labor is fun, but we can still bring meaning to it because we are the value and therefore can bring value to practically anything. Then I look at rest as a recovery to labor. Rest can be sleep or escapism, really anything that gives our minds and body a break. Before, I always sought ways to minimize labor and maximize rest through escapism. Because really, I was attempting to disassociate from negative internal feelings. It was fun at first, but this sort of hedonist, avoidant lifestyle started to feel dull and vain. I stopped finding the same joy from it that I had in the beginning, and I was constantly looking for novelty to feel excited again. I am learning that labor can make rest feel needed and escapism more fun. It makes me appreciate the moments of vanity where I'm not necessarily doing anything meaningful, but I'm refilling my cup. I'm recharging my soul. And that's fantastic. There's a balance. I always find that making small daily decisions aligned with my true desires and intentions is a form of self-love. Discipline is self-love. The work will not always be fun. I don't always feel like doing it, but I am always so grateful when I put myself in the position to realize my goals. Escapism and overindulgence can often masquerade as self-care, but more often, it's another way to avoid doing the real work that builds self-trust and confidence. The spark and inspiration my life lacked was in the meaningful, intentional work I was avoiding. As far as we know, we only get one life, and I'm not sure what happens once we close our eyes for the final time. But I want to be the best version of myself while also enjoying my time here. For me, that doesn't mean grinding to live in luxury and becoming a passport bro. It doesn't mean working my ass off so that my children's children won't have anything to worry about. I'm done chasing that fantasy that capitalism uses to justify exploiting our bodies and limited time on this earth for the privilege of a few. Don't get me wrong, I'm not naive enough to believe that we can opt out of systemic capitalism. I understand that if I don't earn money, I can't survive or do anything recreationally. My passions and hobbies require money. My self-healing journey requires money for access to books and any medicine or therapy. I'll either need to work for an employer or become a business owner myself for the foreseeable future if nothing changes. But I am no longer under the illusion that my productivity or financial success is indicative of my value or the success of my life. I live to be human. I live to be alive. I live to live alongside you. Not to be better than you or compare myself to you. My life is relative to yours, and we change every moment of every day. I want to live in a world where everyone's basic needs are efficiently met. People can lead a fulfilling life that does not harm others, and we operate in safe, healthy, and beautiful communities. The body of work I desire to create will labor to that end, and so will the goals I set for myself. So what's the status of my life change? Always in progress.